Hello, welcome to this bonus edition final episode of the Wellbeing Wins webinar, brought to you by me, Jez, from youHQ. We have been working the whole year and for the last few years to promote our digital platform, but actually we've been doing the webinar this year. Thanks so much to Mark Anderson and obviously to Sophie for helping come up with the idea around Wellbeing Wins. It's been a real privilege for me to talk to experts across EdTech, mental health, wellbeing, all these different areas. Really interesting to learn from you and listen to your experiences and your amazing knowledge around how we can use these tools that we have available to us to promote wellbeing and mental health in and out of schools, whether it's for students, for staff, for adults, for everyone. Let's really put wellbeing up there. I know for me, I left teaching in the end because I didn't think this was at the top of the priority list, and I think it should be, and I think it's something that we really need to focus on. And I think what we've learned across the last couple of years as we've grown is that we need to give students the tools and the best possible chance and the education to be able to thrive in, let's be honest, this pretty crazy world. So thank you so much to everyone that's listened, to the people that have joined. And this is a fantastic opportunity for us and for me to celebrate the amazing user schools and staff and students that have been working with us across this year. For some of these schools, more than this year. Some schools have been working with us for a couple of years, but we've never done this before. This is the youHQ Wellbeing Awards 2023-24. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a few different categories. The runners-up will get a Amazon voucher for their school that they can spend on something linked to the wellbeing work that they do. And the winners will get an Amazon voucher as well. And they'll also get a beautiful youHQ glass trophy that they can keep. So we're really excited about this. It's a great opportunity for us to round off the academic year and celebrate, like I said, these amazing schools and amazing people that are working and the students that are working in these schools. So let's go to the first category, which is youHQ Prep School of the Year. We've got so many more prep schools jumping on board with us. I think that's for lots of different reasons, but the prep school market is a good one because there's slightly smaller class sizes. There's really passionate staff around wellbeing. Often they have one-to-one devices, and there's so many brilliant prep schools that we're now working with, and it's growing, whether it's in the UK or abroad. But two schools have stood out for us. So we're going to go with the runner-up first. So the runner-up of Prep School of the Year is Sevenoaks Prep. Sevenoaks Prep is a beautiful prep school in Kent, a real family focus, a real nurture community focus. And Catherine and the team have really been amazing at keeping engagement high from the students. Amazing feedback from students and staff, actually. And that's another part of what we're looking for with the runners-up and the winners is, what's the engagement been like in terms of students logging in? What's the feedback been like through the feedback button, through email? What's the engagement from staff been like? And how collaborative and innovative have schools been in working with us and doing the work that we do to promote? So well done, Sevenoaks Prep. Voucher coming your way. The winner of Prep School of the Year is St Martin's School. Carol, thank you so much for jumping on to this call with me. I just wanted to let you know that, and you probably know this as well, that we've started to grow quite a lot at youHQ. We're in a lot more schools, and we're really happy and proud to be working with you and with your school this year. And I wanted to let you know that you are the winner of Prep School of the Year. We've started some Wellbeing Awards, and a growing number of prep schools have jumped on, and we've been keeping a good eye on your engagement stats and how many students and staff have been using youHQ. And congratulations. We've got a large number of prep schools now, but yours is the number one. So congratulations to you.
That's lovely. That's brilliant. I love that coming up at the bottom.
Yeah, we just wanted to speak to you a bit more about you and your role at St Martin's and why you started using youHQ in the first place. Can you think back to kind of what prompted you to get in touch with us?
I met John at one of the either safeguarding or wellbeing, the two conferences that happen with Optimus, I think it is, up in London. And when he talked to me about what you did, it sounded like exactly what we needed. The link in with CPOMS was definitely a plus, because we've been using CPOMS now for 5 years, and it means that we've got a very good record of all sorts of aspects of our children's well-being while they've been at school. And it looked like youHQ was going to add something into that. It was also going to give us a good way of recording things. In other words, not just me saying, yes, I think children are happy, yes, children seem to be presenting well and their mood seems fine, but this was going to give me actual statistics, if you like, to underline that, so that if I was saying that children's mood was generally good, or if there were instances of it being low, I would have evidence of that as well. So there was that aspect of it, but then also the whole colourfulness and how it presented, and how there was gold, which made it a bit more like a game. Said to me that the children were going to engage with it. Year 3 and 4 love doing it. They go on to it. In every year group, there is a specific time a week when they use it, that's timetabled, that they know is their youHQ time. So we know that they're logging in once a week. But what we've also found is, because they like the interface and they enjoy doing it, they're also, I think even John said, doing it at the weekend, but they're certainly logging in at different times during the day as well, when they're in form time, which means that they enjoy doing it. And I think as the younger ones come up through the school, they'll be used to using it. So every year they will use it more meaningfully. I like the fact that there were videos that it linked to, little video clips that it gives them when they filled it in, inspire them and sort of motivate them. And that's a good thing as well. So there were so many different aspects of it that I thought would appeal to the boys. But then I've also been impressed with how the teachers have interacted with it and used it, and have recorded things on CPOMs, have followed up low mood scores, and had really useful little conversations with the boys on a regular basis, which gives us, as I say, more insight into how they're feeling and what we can do. So, for example, if it's prior to an exam time and there's more evidence of them being stressed, we can put extra things in for them to help them out.
Thank you, Carol. You've touched on so many different aspects there as well, which is brilliant. I wanted to ask you one more thing, Carol. I mean, in your role, you're deputy head pastoral. I hope I've got that correct. How have you seen it really help? You've talked about so many different things, the integration with CPOMs, how it's helped staff. How have you found it in your role? It's such a big role and it's such an important role. Is there certain aspects of the platform or any specific success stories you can think of that have really helped you?
Well, I've used it, for example, to talk to governors about it, to explain what information it gives us. So the charts, the graphs, the pie charts, those kind of things are really good indications that are very easy to follow and very easy to give a snapshot of how things are in the school. And so the governors like that from the point of view of, again, as I was saying, it's giving facts, it's giving evidence, because the children have inputted this by showing us how they were feeling. And so that raised some good questions from the governors, and they were very supportive of what it was doing to support the well-being of the pupils. I then also have very useful conversations with form teachers and my heads of section, who are like head of a couple of year groups, about what sorts of trends there might be, what other input we can give into either inset for teachers or parents' evenings and these kind of things. So it gives us more to more meat, if you like, in order to produce, to support pupils more and to support parents more, and to be able to say to parents that we can see that boys are happy. We can see that there's a certain percentage of boys that are happy, and we can reassure you that if they're not, we're following that up. And if we need to have a conversation with parents, so we can do that. So it supports that whole triangle of pupil support, parent support, and staff in keeping wellbeing to the fore. That's where I see it as important in my role.
Carol, the bell's gone, so I think it's time for us to stop. Thank you so much for giving up your time to talk to us, and congratulations again, Carol. Okay, on to the next category, which is International School of the Year. We're really amazed, and it's been brilliant seeing youHQ grow internationally. Originally in the UAE, so Dubai, and it's grown to Abu Dhabi, and now we're working in schools across Southeast Asia, Egypt, we're even in a school in America, which is brilliant. So really exciting for us, and we wanted to celebrate that. The international school market is a really interesting one. We're working in different inspection frameworks and slightly different models, but ultimately we've seen it work really, really well. So we'll go with the runner-up first. Again, this is really difficult to pick because there's so many amazing schools, but the runner-up is a school that we've been working with for quite a long time. One of our original international schools, maybe the first or second school abroad that we worked with, And that is, drum roll, Emirates International Jumeirah. Rob and the team at Emirates International Jumeirah, thank you so much again for your support. Rob, you are a brilliant leader, a fantastic head, and I know you know how important this is, how important it is that we shine a light on every student and give them a chance to say how they're feeling. You also hosted our first ever youHQ live event. Your feedback, continuous feedback and support of us as a company has been amazing. And again, student engagement and student feedback and staff feedback from you has been invaluable to the growth we've had. Thank you so much for all your efforts. Voucher coming your way. Let's go to the winner. The winner of International School of the Year is British International School Hanoi in Vietnam. Rob, thank you so much for joining us. You may know from speaking to John, I'm not sure if you do know, that we're in 7 different countries now. And obviously, we're really proud to be working with you at BIS Hanoi in Vietnam. And out of all of our international schools, we've looked at all the engagement data that's been coming through. And we have decided as a company that BIS Hanoi is the winner of the International School of the Year for our youHQ Wellbeing Awards. And that's out of about 30 schools now. So I just wanted to get you on to say thank you so much and congratulations on all that you've done implementing youHQ at BIS Hanoi.
That's brilliant. That's really good news, you know. Thanks, Jez. I mean, like, you know, we're sort of a work in progress with it. But I think we've kind of got the value. We've seen the value to it straight away. And we've already started what our second year looks like in terms of planning ahead and what we want out of it, you know. So, yeah, I think that's amazing. And that's really amazing. Really pleased and can't wait.
Can you tell us a bit more about how you found out about youHQ and like you said, how you've started implementing it? All the engagement stats that we've got are really, really positive. So yeah, just a little bit more about how you found us and how it's gone this year would be great.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, there was I can't. It seems a long time ago. We probably did about 18 months research and working with John alongside. But one thing I would say is that you guys were very patient, and in a lot of organisations nowadays, there are a lot of loopholes to go through, and you know, me going back to John a number of times for presentations, information, things like that. That kind of worked really well. But there are a lot of wellbeing platforms out there, and we had pitches from 3 or 4 different ones. And then I took it on with John, just asking a little bit more information. But to be honest, where I was really kind of smitten with youHQ is that it had some flexibility, but also it wasn't just about this is a snapshot and that's it. It was about the resources you got with it, and not just, you know, it's the whole package of wellbeing for students, and you know, that was a bigger thing for me as well. What we've done now, we've managed to embed it, and you know, if you're talking to other teachers, this is your challenge, trying to embed it within your tutor program or your wellbeing program. But we've managed to do that. It's part and parcel of our kind of weekly routine now. It's not perfect, but it's certainly pretty strong. And you know, in our first sort of year, we're really pleased with the progress we've made with it.
What's the climate like over in Vietnam, Rob, in terms of what you're supposed to be doing with wellbeing and the inspection frameworks and how you get judged around that side of things? We found that by working in different countries, like you said, there needs to be a slightly different fit depending on what the frameworks the schools are working in. I'm just interested to know how it is in Vietnam. Obviously, you're UK man originally, and you've probably worked, I imagine, in lots of different areas.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're very lucky in terms of we have flexibility within our organisation in terms of wellbeing, but I think we still get, and we still get inspections and therefore reviews. We get obviously employee and parent engagement surveys and have to act on that. And a couple of years ago, one of the biggest things was student and staff wellbeing and addressing that. So whilst we have almost like a blank canvas to go and, you know, explore and see what it is, which we're really fortunate to do that, at the same time, we're still held accountable for the impact of things that we bring in. And of course, you know, I have to report back to my principal about youHQ every term, and with the data and the reports, it's obviously something which, you know, we can see the real strength in it, you know.
Is there one main benefit or feature within youHQ that you've picked up that has really supported the work that you're doing, Rob?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I think one thing it's done for me is it's allowed us to highlight specific target groups. And what I mean by this is you can then have a year 12, 5 or 6 students which are highlighting the same kind of issues at the moment, and you pick up those trends. And what we've done, we've got our counsellor then to hold specific groups to address those issues, so they're all in the same kind of discussion and group, and that's a weekly thing. So they come out of tutor time based on that, and it could be a 3-week, 4-week, little time scale, but it's an early intervention which is highlighted through youHQ.
Rob, thank you so much for taking some time out of a very busy schedule to talk to me. Congratulations again, and thank you for your early support of youHQ. We're really proud to be working with you, like I said, and I really hope we can get over to Vietnam and actually see you in action and see the students. So I've never been. I've been nearby, but never to Vietnam, and it looks like a beautiful school from what I've seen online. So
thank you. Yeah, you're more than welcome. And like I said, I'm really pleased that we are looking into our second year now with youHQ and looking to sort of move that even further forward.
Brilliant. And the award, we'll send it across to you, and there's a voucher coming to your school as well, which you can obviously choose to spend it on whatever you like, but hopefully it'll be something wellbeing specific. But wellbeing comes in many different forms, Rob, as you know, so it's totally up to you how you spend it.
Absolutely, and I really appreciate that, and that's a lot of hard work that's gone into it with my colleagues as well, so they'll be really pleased with this.
Next category is UK State School of the Year. When we set up youHQ, we didn't know whether state-funded schools would have the resources or the capacity or the want or need to work with us, but actually we've been so pleasantly surprised, and it's been brilliant to be working with more and more state-funded schools, whether they've got one-to-one devices, allow students to use their own, or they have a bank of devices or ICT suites. They have been really diligent and have worked really hard to support whole school wellbeing through the youHQ platform. So thank you so much to all the state schools that we work with. So to the runner-up first, in the exotically named Ashby de la Zouch, the runner-up for UK State School of the Year is Ashby School. Thank you so much to Lindsay Lane and her amazing medical team. It's definitely worth noting that some of the schools we work with, the medical teams and the nurses might also be the go-to people to support mental health as well as the physical health side. So thank you so much to all those teams that we work with. And again, thank you to Lindsay for being such a brilliant ambassador for wellbeing and mental health at the Ashby School. Engagement has been consistently high, despite not necessarily having one-to-one devices at that school. And as part of our wider group of Leicestershire County Council schools, you've been right up there in terms of engagement and feedback for us. So thank you so much for all your efforts this academic year. Now to the winner of UK State School of the Year. This is a school that we have been working with a wider group of schools, a trust of schools in the Kent region. The UK State School of the Year is the Turner Free School. Chrissy, Jenny, thank you so much for joining me. I know you are super busy, so I'll cut straight to it. The reason why I wanted to talk to you both is because at Turner Free School, you were one of our early adopter schools, and you've obviously been championing youHQ in such a brilliant way. And we decided this year to run our own series of Wellbeing Awards. Turner Free Schools has won the UK State School of the Year. So congratulations to you both. And thank you again so much for everything that you've done. There's lots of hard work that goes into implementing something like youHQ. It doesn't just plug in and work. So yeah, that's what I wanted to get you on to tell you. So yeah, it's not a flight to Barbados, but we can discuss the terms and conditions.
As long as there's room for discussion, Jez, that's great. Yeah.
Always, John is always available for discussion around this sort of stuff. He deals with that sort of thing. But no, firstly, just well done and thank you to you both. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, if that's okay, about how it's been and how it was implemented. So Jenny, is it okay if I ask you first?
Sure.
We work in a real range of schools now, and what we found is we're in a lot of state schools, but there are some real challenges using youHQ. We've got, some state schools might struggle with devices. There's obviously more students often in a state secondary school than there's in an independent school. How have you done it? How have you been so successful in keeping engagement high and implementing something like youHQ to support whole school wellbeing?
So we have got it as part of our coaching program, or like a tutor program, as some schools kind of call it. So we've kind of implemented it into that program that they do in the morning. So it's become kind of a routine for our pupils, that they they know that they're going to be going to do youHQ as part of that program, and so our coaches kind of implement that as well. So that's been really useful, and that also meant that in terms of devices, there's less of a battle for them at coaching time and at a tutor time. There's less of a need to be on devices, because actually that's really for lessons. So it's been a time that we could make sure that we could dedicate the devices to the program. So they all have their set space that they go to and devices that they use each time that they go. It's very routine, and that's really helped us. Something I did around engagement as well is I released a bit of a league table in our staff briefings. So I had like my youHQ heroes that I put up that had really great engagement with their coaching group. And then on the other side of that, I released my I'm not going to call them youHQ losers, but like ultimately that's what they were in terms of I think I phrased it as their lack of engagement. But so like the kind of lower end of the league table, I did say it's like the Premier League here of youHQ. Here's our top, and here's the bottom, the two ends that you look at in a league table. And so I did highlight those in a staff briefing, and that really did kind of promote a little bit of wanting to get everyone on and not be at the bottom of the leaderboard as such. So that gave coaches a bit of a drive to want to do that. And we also we've got a wellbeing lead, and she's been going around supporting. So actually having another member of staff. So between us, we were visiting the coaching groups that had lower engagement and supporting the staff and pupils to actually be able to log on and make sure that there were two of us around, just to kind of, increase that engagement as well. But that's
so interesting. And the language you're using as well. I mean, I'd be interested to know if you've got a sports background, Jenny, because you're using words like league tables and coaching. And I was going to ask Chrissy, on the coaching side, we've started noticing not a huge shift necessarily, but more schools using the terms mentoring and coaching versus tutor time and pastoral care. Like, Chrissy, is that a conscious decision for the Turner Free School? Is it a trust level thing? Like, how does that work?
So we do have a tutor time program across all the trusts, but actually coaching is something we've had at TFS since the very beginning. And it was very much built around the ideas of, rather than having tutor groups, of having teams. So we, use that kind of language with pupils. Certainly at the beginning of the outset, we were a free school, startup free school. So we started with 120 children who have grown year on year on year. So we've had a lot of work to do in terms of making sure we've set that culture correctly, that there's a real sense of belonging. So we have a house system as well, which is, again, it's something that lots of schools sort of moved away from, but it is still something here that we think is really important, and trying to encourage that sense of sort of healthy competition between our teams and their coaches. And it just has different connotations to your tutor, your tutoring. And Jenny does an amazing job in terms of putting our coaching program together, really making sure that it's responsive to the needs of our pupils, that it's making sure we've got contextual safeguarding and elements in there. And that's been really important, and youHQ has been a really vital part of that as well.
Is, with the coaching side, all the features of youHQ useful? Because often we found that every school's different. Some schools lean into the wellbeing check-in, are students feeling low side. Other schools are now starting to tell us more, actually, that they're really interested in the positive psychology side of values and goal setting. Do you guys feel like you're using all those features? Does it depend on the group? Like, where do you guys stand with the different features that are on there?
So I think it's really interesting, actually, because, as you say, we've got this introduced in other schools in our trust, and certainly at Facing Academy, they are taking much more of a focus now on kind of the personal development and goal setting side of things, and focusing through that. And that's partly just because of the setup, like you mentioned before. Every pupil at Facing Academy has one-to-one devices, whereas at TFS, we have computer rooms, so we have to utilise things in a slightly different way. So we focus primarily on kind of the wellbeing elements and the pastoral care that comes from that. And I think, again, what's been really important in its success has been the fact that the children can put support messages on, that they can flag that they want someone to help them, and they get that help. And that's a really consistent process. That's been our wonderful pastoral teams that have really been able to provide that, and our safeguarding teams as well. So I think that's why it's worked. It has been a big team effort, brilliantly led by Jenny.
Well, guys, you are both definitely UHQ heroes, not UHQ losers.
We'll take that.
We're going to have to write that down, UHQ heroes. I love a bit of, as a former PE teacher, I love a bit of healthy competition. I think that's great. You're doing it in such a great way, and thank you again for all your engagement, all your feedback, all, you know, John said the humour that you bring and the fun that you bring to it is really important. It is hard what you're doing. You know, what you're doing now in schools is, there's a big expectation, and I think you're doing it in a really positive way. Even the words that you're using, the terms that you've used, coaching and mentoring and supporting, is really positive. So, Jenny, thank you so much for driving it at TFS. Chrissy, thank you as well for all the work you've done across the trust, but also at TFS at being so good at supporting us. We really look forward to sending you a trophy, a lovely glass trophy with Turner Free School on, State School of the Year. Big pressure, healthy competition, because you've got to try and keep that next year. You can't drop down the league table.
I mean, in good news, Jenny is one of the most competitive people I've ever met, so I'm sure that will be achievable and will be.
Before we do our final school award, which is the School of the Year, so we're not going to categorise it into a type of school. It's just the schools that have really gone for it on the engagement side, and we've seen all that amazing stuff coming through so much from these schools. But before we do that, we want to highlight individual staff that have been Wellbeing Champions for their school, worked with us to support us, to give us feedback on how we can improve the app, and really helped us grow as a company as well. So the runner-up for the Staff Wellbeing Champion for this year is Melissa Claridge at Allain British Academy. Melissa, you are brilliant at the work you do. You are so hardworking and so passionate. And what you've done amazingly well is you've engaged with every facet of UHQ. There's lots of different features and functions that we've built into it, and you are so supportive but also engaged, and also you are questioning and curious of the different ways and how it can work, and you've used it in such a brilliant way at your school, and I know that it's supported you in the work you've done, but also everything that you've done working with us has been amazing this year. So again, thank you so much. You are a real genuine Wellbeing Champion. We'll be sending you your voucher very soon. The winner of Wellbeing Champion of the Year from UHQ is Katie and Ellie at Casterton College. Katie and Ellie, thank you so much for joining us. I just wanted to give you a bit of context, because I haven't done that yet. We have decided this year to start doing an awards scheme with our schools. One of the awards that we're doing is a UHQ Wellbeing Champion, and that is for someone that we believe has been instrumental in promoting UHQ in their school, giving us loads of feedback, telling us how we can improve it, but more importantly, and probably the most importantly, trying to get as many kids using UHQ so that you can do the amazing work that you do to give them the support they need. And this year, 2024, you are the winner of our UHQ Wellbeing Champion Award. So we just wanted to get you on here and say, yay, Kate and Ellie, absolute legend. Thank you so much for being such a huge champion of not only wellbeing at your school, but wellbeing in general, but also for us as a company. You've just been brilliant the whole way. So thank you so much.
Oh, bless you. That's made my day. Oh, well, we can only do what we can do, can't we? So, yeah, so every little bit and grey hairs that go along with it, they kind of make a difference, don't they?
Tell me about it. The more I do these webinars, the more I can see my grey hairs on my chin. I'm turning into Gandalf. But I just wanted to give it, well, you can give the context. Can you just tell people that are listening, watching both, a bit more about you and your school and your role at the school?
Yeah, so obviously my name is Katie Nelly. I'm the head of mental health at Casterton College, which is a secondary school in Rutland. We have just shy of 1,000 students, and all those students pretty much do use UHQ on a weekly basis. We've set it up that our tutors have a dedicated slot to be able to have that time, which then also creates a kind of data feedback that we can then use to kind of look at where areas are kind of a bit more of a struggle across the school or breaking down into year groups. And that information is invaluable. I used it obviously with our Ofsted. That was a few months back into kind of early in the last year. And they said, you know, that professional curiosity, which links with the safeguarding, worked massively to kind of have that little bit more in-depth knowledge about our children. You know, so it creates that data which we were always missing. I was on a Teams call just last week with the Department of Education, highly praised youHQ to say that this is how we use the data. So hopefully you guys will be getting some more kind of input from them, because, you know, it should be something that all schools should be able to use.
Have you seen a noticeable shift in the way that we're doing the work that you're doing, and how can you think of any sort of anonymous stories, Katie, of how it has been invaluable? You said it, obviously the data comes through to you, you drive the dashboard. What are the next steps from that you've seen at Casterton?
I think for our staff, it's that little bit more kind of having a little bit more knowledge, you know, so being able to kind of start a conversation rather than just going in blind. So they have something to approach a child for. You know, we've got, you know, more and more of our children now are on the SEN register. They have a platform to have their voice heard without having to confront somebody face to face. So it's that kind of, I'm not feeling great. We then can go and approach them. So it helps to kind of get them to do it safely for them, because they are in that fight, flight, freeze, aren't they, most of the time, these adolescents. So, you know, having to approach a member of staff, even though you know them for the last few years, can still be really daunting for some of them. So for the students that, you know, just think, oh, I'm just having a bad day, you know, this has happened at home, but actually it could be something quite serious, but that maybe got normalized for a child that nobody knew about, that we can then kind of go, oh, hold on a minute, that's not right, but we can help them. And
Katie, I think knowing you as we've got to know you over the last couple of years, how important is it that you are driving this, that you're getting staff and students on board with it? There are challenges along the way, but you know, the thing that you seem to do really, really well is you consistently go again and keep working on it. How important is that, and is that a big part of your mentality in the work that you do?
Yes, absolutely. I think obviously that helps with 14 years in the military, so I am very dedicated and resilient and I like a challenge. So I don't give up, because at the end of the day, these kids don't deserve us to give up. So there are times when, yes, you do have to remind staff that these are children, and you kind of have to keep plugging that, you know, something that might be quite minimal to us is actually really big to them. So it's about kind of just taking a step back and looking at it from a bigger picture, really. But yeah, just keep going, even though it is tough.
Katie, again, thank you so much for all the support you've given us. We, like I said, without staff like you, youHQ works because there are passionate, amazing staff like you that, like you said, get up every day, keep going, and it's a difficult job. But ultimately, I think the thing that comes through is using something like youHQ shines a light on every student, gives them an opportunity for their voice to be heard if they want it to be heard. And like you said, you don't have to be a trained psychotherapist or counsellor. It is just about having meaningful relationships with students and getting to know them as well as you can and giving them support when they need it. And that's something that you have done brilliantly at Casterton. And let's be honest, in a school system, that isn't always that easy because there's so much pressure on the academic and the value added and all that kind of stuff. So thank you again. There will be a youHQ Wellbeing Champion trophy, nice glass trophy coming your way very soon, with a voucher for you as well, to say thank you for all your efforts. But again, we're really, really pleased and proud to be working with you, and we really look forward to continuing working with you in the future.
Thank you very much, all of you. Really touched me, and probably just what I needed, to be quite honest, at the end of a very long year. But yes, thank you very much.
Now, finally, to the big one, the youHQ School of the Year. We've looked at all the data that we have access to, the engagement across the year, the engagement fluctuations across the academic year. And look, it's really hard to, when you use something like youHQ, an EdTech platform, trying to keep that engagement high. Obviously, that's a big part of the job that we're doing to make it as intuitive and enjoyable for the students as possible, and to make it useful for staff, authentically useful for staff. But it also takes some real hard work from the team on the ground, you guys, to actually keep engagement high, to embed it into the curriculum. That's when it works the best, and it becomes just part of the school life, and hopefully a really useful, reflective process for the school. So the schools that have done this really well, let's start off with the runner-up first. This school is a school that we've been working with across this year. And again, engagement has just been there because This person has kept engagement high by driving it. And we want to give runner-up for youHQ School of the Year. Overall School of the Year runner-up goes to Bury Grammar School. So well done to Kay Robinson and her team at Bury Grammar. And thank you so much again for your support this year. You've been fantastic at giving us feedback and keeping engagement high and keeping the students on it. And it's been so nice to hear those stories where you've told us that you know that you're picking up on any students that might need extra support a bit quicker. We've had lovely stories of tutors saying that they're able to have an in with students because it gives them a really good place to start the conversation with them, whether that's around wellbeing, mood, or even goals. And I know that the grammar school is very academically driven, and the goal setting side has been really useful for the school as well. So thank you so much, Bury Grammar, for all your efforts. So to the final award, the big one, I suppose, youHQ School of the Year, the school that overall has had the best engagement in terms of the number of students logging in and how regularly they've been logging in. But again, a school that's just really embraced that focus on wellbeing, whole school wellbeing. And I've been into the school. It's a lovely school to be in. You know that wellbeing is at the heart of this school. So drum roll, School of the Year, youHQ 2024 is Waverley Prep. I'm really pleased to be joined by Henry Mitchell, Assistant Head at Waverley Prep. Henry, I just wanted to let you know that Waverley Prep has won the overall, the big one, youHQ Wellbeing School of the Year. So really well done to you. Well done, Henry. Well done, Waverley Prep.
Thank you, Jez. That's great to hear. Thanks very much.
Yeah, I'm just, really pleased that it's worked so well for you at Waverley Prep. I knew it would. I always get a good sense, and it was nice to come in and actually see you face to face before we launched. But yeah, well done. We've never done this before. And I will say that it has been really competitive. We're not talking about 5 or 10 schools. We're talking about, pushing on to 100, and next year we'll be way over that. So, there's been a lot of schools that have been in the mix, but Waverley Prep have been right up there. And what is the secret to, I think it would be really nice for you to say, what's the secret to the engagement success for you?
Absolutely. Well, certainly from the minute we started it and we brought it on, I think the children really enjoyed it because it's sometimes difficult, right, if they've got a worry to come and speak to someone in person. And that's one of the biggest blocks to us finding out about it. Our children all have access to a Chromebook. So we just built into the timetable at the start of the year a time where they had a weekly wellbeing check-in, and it became part of their routine. And most of the time, everything's fine and everything's great, and they do their weekly check-in, and it just sort of goes under the radar. But for those few instances where we have needed to intervene, our youHQ has been the way that we've found out and been notified about those things. Particularly, we found when pupils get to year 5 and 6, and sometimes they can be a little bit more reluctant to come and speak to us about the issues that they're having. For a variety of reasons. Having that built-in protected time in our timetable only takes 5 minutes each week has been a real win for us, I think, and made sure it's been really embedded in our practices at Waverley.
Does the win for you, Henry, come from the ability to have start those conversations with students, whether that's something around them not feeling great or flipping that and actually being able to talk to them about them feeling really good? And obviously there's some of the older students are using things like the goal setting, and moving forward they will. Is it that ability to build those relationships that in your role you found really useful? Yeah,
totally. We found out hidden talents of some of our children that we didn't really know that they had, and things that they're hugely involved in outside of school. One of our students is a prolific climber, and it's not something that we do within school, but it was notified when he set a goal relating to that in his weekly check-in. And similarly, it's an extra layer, right, of what we can offer here, and an extra way to make sure nobody slips through the net. And I think that's the goal setting has been an added extra. The reason we brought it in was for the wellbeing survey, to make sure that nobody was going under the radar. And I think the goal setting's been a big added bonus that our children have really run with. Something that maybe wasn't the intended purpose, but something they've really enjoyed getting involved in.
So nice to hear another story, like, shining a light on something really positive, like they do something that you didn't realize they do, because I talk about that quite a lot. That's brilliant to hear. But one more question for you, Henry. it's interesting at Waverley because you're a nursery, and whilst you're not using it with the really young students, you've got Ofsted for the nursery, and then you've got ISI inspection for the prep side of the school. Wellbeing seems to have come really into the ISI side. How has that been an interesting thing for you to have Ofsted here, ISI here, wellbeing focused from one point of view? Like, how is that for you in your role? Like, is that quite a tricky thing to manage and navigate?
Yeah, absolutely. With the new framework, we were really conscious of how we prove that we take the pupils' well-being seriously, and how we can sort of evidence that and measure impact. And we were inspected in February, and for me to have an extra thing that we could talk about and evidence and data that I could show there and then to inspectors made it a lot less stressful. And it's people well-being is, I've always found it really hard to tell how well you're doing, unless you put pupil questionnaires out there, etc. But having this sort of live data that we've got access to thanks to youHQ made it really, really useful come inspection time. Absolutely.
And that's it. Thank you so much for listening. If you're interested in the work we do, please do check us out at youhq.co.uk or on social media at youHQ for schools. Bye-bye for now.